AVRant and SVS have teamed up to bring you an unbelievable opportunity. Have you been dreaming of dual subwoofers? Perhaps you'd like to upgrade your entire 5.1 speaker package. Don't have the cash? AVRant and SVS have your back. Go to www.avrant.com right now for your chance to win your choice of dual PB1000 subwoofers or a prime 5.1 satellite speaker package. Contest ends September 30th. Don't wait. Open to the residents of the United States and Canada. We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Vince. Vince has a Samsung Plasma that he loves, but eventually he'll upgrade once HDR isn't the Wild West, as he terms it. However, he has some concerns. It seems to Vince that in the land of standard dynamic range, the OLED is king, having taken the crown from Plasma. But will the same be true in the neighboring land of HDR? A lot of metaphors going on in this question.
There is.
It's very creative. He knows that contrast ratio is important, but it seems that the visual impact of, say, 600 nits versus 2000 nits would be much greater than 0.0001 nits versus 0.01 nits. Do we agree? Right now, OLEDs offset their brightness limitations with near perfect black levels, but as we move towards 4,000 nit capable LCDs, will that lose its importance? Will brighter simply be seen as better and cause OLED to die an early? Now, there is honestly, there is no real understanding the importance of black levels in the display, in my opinion. When you're the number one thing, I think it's something that everybody can see. They can clearly see when black levels are being crushed. It's something that happens, and people are like, "What is that? Why does it do that?" And they blame it on. They don't ever blame their TV. They blame it on the movie, or they blame it on the cable box, or they blame it on something else. And I'm like, "Dude, your TV is jacked up. Let me fix your settings." They're like, "No, it's too dim now." I'm like, "Yeah, because we're trying to make sure that black is black, and you're not crushing all these black. Getting all the stair stepping and halo effect and all kind of stuff that you see when black levels are being crushed." I don't think that OLEDs, I mean, I think that black levels will always be a very important specification, regardless of how bright we get things or how bright we can get things, because when it stops being bright, you're going to know that the black levels are bad immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the super duper bright ability, first of all, it is only these tiny little highlights. That's the only place it's showing up, because the average picture level, the average brightness of a scene really hasn't changed. We still, honestly, we want that to remain mostly within standard dynamic range, so that doesn't scorch our eyeballs. We don't want to have to be squinting just to look at our TV every time anything white shows up on the screen. That wouldn't be very pleasant. So the actual average picture level hasn't changed a whole lot. Now, the difference in going from 1,000 nits to 2,000 nits, from 2,000 nits to 4,000 nits, is surprisingly little to our human eye, because there is this huge logarithmic rise on that end where things have to get massively brighter in order for our eye to notice that it got any brighter. So honestly, if OLED can get to 1,000 nits, then I think it wins just in overall look. I don't think having an LCD that can go to 2,000 or 4,000 but can't have the same super deep black levels will look anywhere near as good. But there is one issue with what's going on right now with this 540, 600 type nit peak output of current OLEDs. The issue going on there is sort of what we were talking about with Stacey Spears when he was on Home Theater Geeks, when he was saying that basically they're not tone mapping things correctly. That a
Right.
lot of content is being mastered at 1,000 nits, but things aren't being tone mapped correctly, or in fact on the discs themselves or on the streams themselves coming from Voodoo or what have you, they're not even putting the metadata in there. So there's no way that even if the tone mapping existed in the TV, that it could function because it relies on the metadata being there in the first place. So what has sort of happened is this whole Ultra HD alliance has in a roundabout way almost created a new sort of standard of just 1,000 nits is what a lot of stuff is being mastered to. It's what a lot of mastering displays use, and then it's what like Samsung's SUHD TVs can hit. And so people have shown, particularly with the movie Pan, because the movie Pan is available both in Dolby Vision and in HDR10, but it was mastered at 4,000 nits. It was mastered on a Dolby Vision display. And they've been showing how when you show it on a Samsung TV that can hit 1,000 nits or more, and it will tone map from 4,000 down to 1,000, it looks great. So does the Dolby Vision version on an LG OLED. In fact, you put them side by side, and yes, like the bright sun blob in the sky, which is the thing that everybody looks at because it actually shows up as a circle when it's done properly, and it just shows up as kind of diffuse mush when it isn't done properly. Well, you can see the same amount of detail in the OLED in Dolby Vision, and you can see the same amount of detail on the Samsung in HDR10, but on other TVs that aren't tone mapping it correctly, it turns to mush. Or if you show the HDR10 version on the LG OLED, it turns to mush because it doesn't have the metadata to support it. So basically, if OLEDs can get to 1,000 nits, it means they won't have to tone map a whole bunch of stuff because that's sort of become the new de facto standard. So that's really what I'm waiting for. If they do that, I think they win. And since he's waiting anyway, and stuff keeps advancing, because LG has invested heavily in OLED, right, I really think that is a possibility. Or they'll get really close. They'll get to like 900 nits or something, and it really won't matter too much. So that's my opinion anyway.
And once again, LCD will do the same thing they did with plasmas, and they'll advertise how they can now do 120 hertz instead of, just 60 hertz. And what we do like 6 quadrillion hertz, so shut up. What are you talking about?
But I mean, the other side of it is your viewing environment does matter, because if you're in a pitch black room, you're going to notice the super dark black levels more than the peak brightness. If you're in a really bright sunlit room, you're going to notice that you have more light output, and the black levels are going to be masked anyway because, your eye is just going to be biased by all that sunlight in the room. You're not going to notice the super dark black levels. So viewing environment matters a lot. So again, I would say if you're in a really dark environment, OLED is probably going to look better all the time, even if it can't get quite as bright. If you're in a super sunlit room, you're not going to notice that the OLED is getting any blacker, and then you're going to want to go for the brighter output, I would think. So there's that to consider too.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.